people offering digital services and not knowing what to do when it comes to payments, including ourselves. Like the first time we had a webinar, and it was a charged webinar, we had an audience from Nigeria and the US who wanted to make payments to attend, but we did not know how to go about it. So we thought, by the way, this could be something that other small businesses think about. And sometimes it's triggered when there's a need. Sometimes when you don't have that order, you don't think about it. But the moment someone calls you or someone DMs you or messages you from Facebook or Instagram, that's when you realize, oh, how will the payment get to me? I remember there's a time I needed to buy something from an influencer in Nigeria, and they only used a particular platform which I could only receive money to. You could not send money to them. And the only thing I think at the time she told me to use was Western Union. And I was like, going to Western Union, how does that work? I mean, we rarely go to banks to make transactions. So imagine the loss of business that small firms encounter because they have to go through loops. I have to go to Western Union so that I can be able to buy. And if I have maybe like 3 or 4 purchases in a week, that's a lot of time. And we all know how banks are, opening hours, long queues, the bureaucracy of going through any bank. Sometimes you go there, they tell you the system is down. That's time wasted. So it will be interesting to hear even your opinion, what triggered you to join this class, and what are those things that you're curious about, especially during this session. I'm seeing Melanie runs an online health food store. It's called Pink Salt. Feel free to also link, if maybe you have an e-commerce platform, you can just put in the link. If it's just your website, that's also fine. If you are on Instagram or Facebook, just put the link so that the ones who are keen on it can be able to like or follow or check out what are the things that you currently offer. I can see Betty has written about, she's the director and founder of Creator Tea. They're an e-commerce company offering print-on-demand services on clothing, and she'd like to know how to receive payment via credit card. What do you think, Rita?
Hi, Marcy.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Pretty interesting setting the stage of exactly what's happening. So I work for Cellulant, as you said, and we have, it's actually a payments company, been there for about 16, 17 years now, and has actually just gone through a lot of changes, and we've been informed really by what the customer wants from we actually started from a B2B business, and now we are really just looking at what the consumer wants and providing for that in the payment space. So when, and actually just probably if I could start from just looking at the questions that that we have here, and you see, a payments company pretty much just means for the small business where we look at how do you securely charge and collect monies for your end customer and make sure that you deliver the services or product as a customer would want you to deliver. So there's 2 critical things there. One, you have to communicate according to what the customer will understand in terms of payments. So for example, when you look at Kenya, where it's heavily on M-Pesa. So if you're in a space where you want to set up a digital sort of platform, you would have to have M-Pesa as one of the payment methods that will communicate to the Kenya market. But when you go to a country like Nigeria, if you want to have this webinar, actually people from Nigeria coming in and actually paying, they would understand the language of Verve cards. So you have to also just understand the demographics and how payments is actually set up country to country. Kenya M-Pesa is heavy. Nigeria is heavily on card. When we talk about Visa, MasterCard, you're talking about the local card that is actually Verve. They have a very healthy mix between debit and credit. When you look at Kenya, the penetration of credit cards is so little. We actually are talking about 300,000 customers countrywide for credit cards. But to answer the question very simply is small, medium-sized businesses and even the global or what you call regional merchants or businesses would work very, very well partnering with payment service providers that have done integrations to all the payment methods that are available. So when you're talking about payment methods that are available here, we're talking about mobile money, which would be Airtel Money, would be Tigo Cash, would be M-Pesa. And then when you're talking about bank, we're talking about mobile banking. So mobile banking would mean, say, if I have a KCB account, am I able to pay from my KCB, say Vuma or my KCB account and actually be able to pay for the service or the commodity that the merchant or the customer is actually offering me from a customer point of view. And then also giving an option for card, and when you say card, you're talking about debit or credit. We're talking about international cards and local cards. So to make it that much easier, you're better off actually shopping for a payment service provider that gives you a one-stop shop that covers all these payment methods. And very simply what you will realize, because most of the small businesses will have, for example, they will have a website. So it's just a plug-in and you're able to have all these options to be able to pay. Let me see.
That's super, super important. There are a lot of questions coming in, people asking about how to move cash securely, especially for new clients, and also payment on delivery. What if they don't pay, especially for the ones who are dealing with cash?
Yes.
And then also someone asking about, is there a payment system where through a third party, money is held until delivery is made, then money wired to the company so that the business and customer walk away happy?
Yes, so there are different models. So when you look at the developed countries, and here we're looking at the Europes of this world and the Americas of this world, there's already been a culture that you can actually pay for a product or service before you receive it. But here in Africa and in Kenya and in East Africa, just looking at all the pockets that you'd find in the demarcations of Africa, this is actually something that is very at the elementary stage. So you're actually very right to ask, how do you sort out and I don't want to call it a problem, but a use case where you have to deliver the product fast before a payment is actually made. So there's partnering, and again, I will go back to, you need to shop for a partner that will offer you a dynamic way to interact with your customers. And what do I mean by that? If I'm to probably take the instance of Jumia. So Jumia, and I'm just going to give it as an example basis. So Jumia has Jumia Food, Jumia the marketplace, and Jumia has two options where you're actually able to pay before you get the product, especially on the food vertical, and you also have the option of paying on delivery. So the innovation comes at the point of, if somebody wants to make sure that yes, this is the wings and the fries that I ordered before I'm able to pay, there could be an option of, in Kenya specifically, we have the pay bill or till option where you have to then have your customer interact with the person who's doing the delivery. But there's also other innovative products where you have a link to pay, actually it's a link to pay where you're sent for a message automatically to your phone, and then you get the payment methods once the delivery has been done. So that could be a way to mitigate, one, making sure that the customer actually pays, and two, making sure that the customer pays with whatever, whichever store of value they have. If it's M-Pesa, that's fine. If it's cash, that's fine. If it's card, that's fine. You find that most of the times when, and again, we are in very interesting times of COVID, where money is frowned upon at the door, where now you actually have to have the M-Pesa model. I think M-Pesa for Kenya is not a bad way to go, especially when you don't want to spend quite a bit of money doing are set up to be able to collect cash. You can actually just have a till and sort out the logistics part of it, where you have a trusted person who's actually coming to the door. But when you're looking at how do you lean on technology, and this is very much the conversation of digitization, then you need to start partnering with PSPs or payment service providers that have that sort of model, where it is either they have a link and then it's automatically sent to the end customer's phone and they're able to pay once the order has been fulfilled. There's other, and you will actually get to see this more and more when this digitization, the COVID has actually pushed for people to actually now look at it as the most important thing. You'll find that now people are looking at wallets. So you have a wallet, for example, and it has cash in it. And if it's something, depending with what product or service you have out there, then it just does a check off. If it's an additional 200 that a delivery has been made, the check off is done. So again, I think it is the right partners. If you're small, I think mobile companies are there to help you scale until you get to a point where you want to offer more than just M-Pesa. You want Airtel Money, say you want Equitel, you want a bank, you want card, then you kind of have to get into the PSP model.
What's PSP model?
Payment service providers. So the Jambopay, the Cellulans, those companies, the Pesa Pals, those companies will have products that are very focused to SOHO, which is small office, home office, or SME, which is then a little bigger an outfit that you would need to present more payment options. I mean, if your market is, you're looking to provide your services outside. So let me give an example of Marini, for example, Marini hair products. So they're a Kenyan-based company, but they have customers that stretch out not only in Africa, but also outside of Africa. So it is important that they partner with a payment service company that will not only just give the local payment options, but also be able to process debit and credit cards at a global level. And when it comes to handling money, the advice that then I would give in how do I make sure that my money gets to me? How do I make sure that the currency issue is actually sorted out? Because that's the thing. Once you cross the border, there is a currency situation. There is, if you say you're selling your product for 200 shillings, how much is that in dollars? Am I gonna get my 200 shillings? Is it gonna water my profit and all, or rather my margins and all that? So that's why partnering with someone who's able to also do the Forex bit of it makes it that much easier. What you will find with a lot of the payment service providers is that they will take the risk, then they will discuss with you in terms of frequency of settlement. So settlement just simply means, when does my money get to my account? When does my money get to my pay bill and all that? So that is informed very much by, say, how much money you're pushing every single week, month, fortnight. But what you know for sure is that all the risks that would be from an exchange of money is already taken away, because then you find that companies will then have fraud tools, will ensure the money as it is.
Interesting. I saw Susan asked, actually Betty asked that she's looking to learn how to use credit card to receive payments and integrate M-Pesa into their payment systems, and what payment options are there to trade with other African countries. If she's specifically targeting African countries, what are those things that she needs to think about when it comes to payments? Because you see, there's a lot of digital penetration, mobile penetration in Africa, and more Africans can use mobile payments, but not card payments. So if, for example, you ask someone who's probably in Turkana who has internet access to buy something online, if you tell them to go to a bank to get Western Union services, most of them, you've lost a customer. So how would someone, because look at the branch network, even here in Kenya, it's only in towns, but you have access to internet anywhere, even in the bushes. So how can them think about payments, especially when it comes to that configuration where you want to onboard, but you are not sure how to collect that money to you?
Okay, so so if you're looking at integrating to, let me answer it a bit systematically. So if you're looking to collect M-Pesa, so M-Pesa has APIs. It's very simple actually to be able to have a direct integration to M-Pesa. So if you're looking just to collect money in Kenya, because you see M-Pesa again is only strong. The penetration is only that strong in Kenya. When you look at M-Pesa in Tanzania, Tanzania is a fantastic case of healthy competition, where you have 3 mobile network operators who have almost split into 3 the population in Tanzania. But in Kenya, what I would advise is, if you're able to, is actually just do a direct integration. They have tools that they will be able to set you up of either a till or a pay bill, and you're able to actually collect your money, and it's a very seamless process, no brainer there. But when you start looking at credit card or debit card, it's very easy to actually collect from a credit or debit card, but you would need to be working with a partner. So you would need to be working with a partner that is authorized to be able to process to acquire for cards. So pretty much, and that's why, I mean, you need to start looking at it from a point of the payment service provider. What are those options they're giving me in country? Are they able to process card for me? Are they able to process mobile money? Mobile money is actually something that we are really sleeping on, but it's such a simple way to where your money sits and you just make payments out of that. And when I speak about it from a payment service provider point of view, those are the conversations that we are having actively. That can I have my merchants actually present on a drop down on my mobile banking options, that I'm able to actually just go and click and be able to do a check off system. So card as an individual company, you would need to work with a payment service provider for that. Across Africa, as I said, Kenya, you can do a direct integration. It's fantastic. You can work with Safaricom and pretty much have 98% of the customers that you're targeting have an answer in terms of a payment method that they recognize and they actually are able to use. But when you go to a country like Tanzania, you cannot have Tigo and not have Vodafone. You'd have to make sure that you're working with a company that has been able to actually connect to all these mobile network operators and provide that for you. The model is actually very, very simple, because how we get paid, and I'm not pitching, but how we get paid is it's just a very small percentage of the volume that is moved. So it's anything between 1% and 2%. And that 1% and 2% guarantees that if you're gonna sell a product, say in Tanzania, you will get your money in Kenya and you don't have to worry about all that. So I would advise that you look at each market that you're going into from what is the penetration of the different ways to pay. So in Nigeria, you're not going to go and start talking to MTN. MTN doesn't even, I mean, there's no mobile money in that country. But you'd have to now speak to a company or actually a payments company that is integrated to the main switch. And the main switch is like PesaLink. So you know that there's an initiative that started in Kenya a couple of years ago where all the banks came together and you're able to access any of the 30 banks using just one switch. So, and when I say switch, to put it simply, it's just all these banks in one place. So you're able to actually to actually get that. So look at the market you're looking to get into. Partner with a company that is able to provide the payment options for those countries, and just know that it is just, sometimes you'll have a model where it is a specific amount of money per order, but in some instances and most instances in the payments industry, it is a percentage of what the total volume is. And I hope I've answered the question. Mercy, you can tell me if you need me to repeat it.
Yeah, you have. Also, just to add that one can be able to know the countries or the people to target through your analytics. So if you go on your Facebook dashboard, you should be able to see the countries where you get a lot of traffic. If it's on Instagram, if you go to Insights, you'll find that dashboard that tells you what countries or what towns where you have some traffic. So that when you're having that conversation, it's purely based on data as compared to a hunch. And it can also be people who also call you, or they call for services, or they like your content, because they're the ones you can easily convert as compared to having it being open-ended. So we can start. I can see Danson has managed to come on board. As we wait for Patrick, we can start. I'll just go right into the bios, starting with Rita's. Rita is the head of account management, global merchants at Cellulant. If you don't know Cellulant, it's one of the pioneers in fintech, owned by a Kenyan, and they are doing great. So she's a fintech chick working at Cellulant as part of the senior executives tasked with merchant acquisition, strategic partnerships, and value growth for global companies looking to digitally collect payments across Africa. Prior to this, she worked in the telecommunication industry with the fourth largest telco, Airtel, for over a decade in Kenya and India, where she led a variety of initiatives, including driving sales for the corporate and SME segment, streamlining of processes, customer retention, cost optimization, market sizing, and debt portfolio management. In addition to professional work, she mentors young ladies on career decisions. She's also come to love storytelling and has been in panels and spoken in some interesting forums such as African Women in Tech 2018 and 2019 and Facebook Ideate 2019. That's where I met her. And most recently, she was selected for Money 2020 Rise Up class for 2019, Las Vegas chapter that is geared towards empowering women in leadership. She's a full-time crusader of the impact of gratitude when it comes to human interaction, plus she enters every room with the mindset that she wants to succeed, that everyone wants to see her succeed. That's her life's mantra. I'll introduce Danson Muchemi. Most people maybe know him. Most people know his products. He's the CEO of Webtribe Limited and Jambopay. I know most people have heard about Jambopay, especially if you live in Nairobi. Danson is an accomplished fintech executive with over 10 years experience in technology, leadership, and entrepreneurship in digital payments in Africa. He's the founder and CEO of Jambopay, a leading digital payments service player in East Africa. He has vast experience in fintech, regulatory landscape in Africa, and has overseen the implementation of thousands of cashless projects in public and private sectors in Africa. Danson's influence has been instrumental in developing an innovative and robust financial platform consisting of a network of banks, telco card networks, and over 15,000 independent agents, supported by robust technical infrastructure, partnerships, and regulatory approvals. Danson has been featured in the Forbes Top 30 Under 30 in 2014, Business Daily Top 40 Under 40 in 2014, and is a recipient of the Google Innovator of the Year, FinTech category 2013-2014, as well as AABLA Innovator of the Year East Africa 2016 award. He's a Stanford Seed finalist and holds a BSc in telecommunications and IT from KU and a diploma in IT from Strathmore University. He's very passionate about youth entrepreneurship. I'll also read out Patrick. Patrick is about to join us as well. So Patrick is the managing director of Conflux AI. He's the alumni chairman president of the Presidential Digital Talent Program. He has a degree, business information technology from Greenwich University, and is currently undertaking his MSc from Multimedia University and a management and a master's in business administration in marketing management from the School of Business and Economics. He has over 4 years experience in software development, as well as training on software solutions for companies to be able to adopt and use. Patrick has over 5 years experience in marketing, customer retention experience, as well as working as a business developer and distribution. He's currently the champion of Jenga API and payment gateway for FinServe Africa. FinServe Africa is Equity Bank. Patrick is also a Google certified social media marketer, talented in business networking, socializing, and is passionate about what he does. So we'll go right in. I know we've answered a lot of questions in the very beginning when we were having the conversation with Rita. So I'll probably ask this to Danson. From your experience, what's the biggest hindrance small businesses encounter when they want to explore global payments? Danson?
Thank you, Mercy, for the question. In my view, I think access to information is the biggest hindrance small businesses face in trying to access global payments. A lot of times you need to know there's a lot of mystic, there's a lot of fear, there is a lot of digital payments more so is a space that is sometimes regulated. It has the goods and the bad. There are a lot of stories about cyber security. There is a lot of stories about and experiences on cyber security or cybercrime, issues of regulation. The technology jargons are many. So I think access to information in regards to available options, the do's and the don'ts, is the biggest hindrance, or the players, the providers, and so forth.
Rita, in your own opinion, what do you think are the biggest hindrances to small businesses when it comes to global payments?
Okay, so small businesses and global payments has a bit of a, they really don't talk to each other. But I think the biggest hindrance that I would point out is that we don't use data to inform us on exactly who we're supposed to be targeting, what are the payment methods, what are those nuances that are different markets or the different subset of customers that you're looking to be serving. And for as long as you don't have data that speaks to you, as long as you've not done the sizing, you've not done the knowing your customer and exactly what your service or product is supposed to be addressing, then you find that we make a lot of mistakes in terms of how do we target these customers in terms of payments and logistics. And those are the two things that we actually start going very wrong from a small business point of view. Looking at the global market, a small business looking to sell products to the global market, again, it's a case of data, it's a case of sizing, it's a case of who are those people that I'm actually looking to target, and then looking at what is that payment method or way to pay that speaks to them.
I agree. Data is critically important. Like we were saying for the ones who just joined in, that some of the ways that one can use data to indicate what payment options is to look at your analytics based on your social media, checking your Facebook, checking your Instagram to see what countries have a lot of interactions with your pages. And then the other question is, what options can small businesses explore if they're keen on receiving payments from a global audience? And this I'll address to Danson. So think about the audience. If they have a higher chance they don't interact with banks, what options can they explore to receiving payments, not only for their local audience, but also for a global audience?
Thank you very much, Mercy. I think if you have a global audience, that means you have customers that are spread across the globe. They are not necessarily in your country. And what is common out there is diversity. Diversity in terms, you go to China, you find there is China Union Pay that is common. You go to US, you find there is a bit of Amex, American Express, Europe and America also. Americas, there's Visa. Africa has a bit of a play on this. In Africa, we got others like Valve and so forth. So, and I think if you really are looking at addressing most of this, because you'll always find there is a possibility of a customer out there that may not most likely, I think the best option is work with aggregators. Aggregators are likes of people like Jambopay, we have likes of PayPal, we have, I also believe working in Cellulant, we have many players out there. We have certain banks that are also providing aggregation services. But for a small business, where you are looking at a situation where you may not have all the pieces together, this means technologies like web portals, shopping cart, you need to have a bit of a look. I think I would aggregators, the likes of Jambopay and others that have moved to not just aggregation, but provision of platforms through which small businesses can sell. I'll give an example of an initiative by Jambopay, that's the Jambopay Market. The Jambopay Market initiative enables small businesses to sell. You just need to have what you have. If it is chicken that you sell, or eggs, or you have, you have cabbages, whatever you want to sell, you're manufacturing, you just need to log into the Jambopay.market and you can upload your products up there and you're good to go. That comes in with a plugged in Visa, MasterCard, M-Pesa, Airtel Money, Equitel, and all those other options that are out there. So for small businesses, and besides the technology that is provided there and the payment options, we also will find you need certain support. You need a bit of marketing. You need a specialist. You need someone to come in and help you with your digital strategy, to help you with graphic design. Sometimes you want to take photos of an image and you need to position that image or that photograph of the ginger and lemons and is it turmeric that we put in that mix, honey, and you want it to appear, at least attractive or in a good way. So you need a graphic designer, and all these mix, you find it in some fintechs that are positioned in certain ways. I know there are a couple of us in the market that are providing such services.
The question is, for a small business, you really talked about the different aggregators that are out there. How would one choose between one to the other? What are those things that when they're looking at, they should think about when they're looking for an aggregator?
I think the first thing, you need to know the reputation of the aggregator. I mean, you need to know it exists. It's not a scam. It's not someone who is trying with you out there. And so I advise strongly that you check with the regulators. This could be the Communication Authority of Kenya or the Central Bank, and also look at histories. Maybe it helps to work with aggregators that have had a track record, that have been set up or have set to provide certain services to that market segment. A lot of times what I have seen, what we've experienced is small businesses, they probably get into wrong hands when they start by way of not failing to identify the right properly registered, properly approved, or those that have gone through the proper regulations and the guidelines provided by the law. Because whether we like it or not, all aspects of payments and money, they are regulated. And that's where it boils down to. You need to get a fintech or an aggregator that falls within the precincts of regulation. And those, that's number one. Number two is someone who's done some work somewhere. Someone, you can, of course, it doesn't mean a fintech that is starting should not be given work. No. They ought to also be given an opportunity, because even the 10-year-old, 12-year-old like Jambopay, Cellulant, and the rest, they started somewhere. But a lot of times you find out of this experience, 10 years, 12 years, and so forth, there are learnings, there are lessons that we've gone through And there are certain difficulties that we've had to go through, likes of, for example, ourselves. There are certain challenges that we had to overcome, and there are certain challenges. There are certain that any fintech will have to go through, and are the determinant on if they are going to succeed tomorrow or not. And success of a fintech, survival of a fintech means, or especially an aggregator, means survival of all those other businesses sometimes that are relying on the services provided by aggregators. So in summary, the regulation, it's important that they look at those that are regulated. If you engage an aggregator, ask for certain things like compliance to the Communication Authority of Kenya, compliance or approvals from the central bank, at least at a bare minimum.
Okay. And Rita, just to ask, what are those things that you think would be key to a small business when they want to think about an aggregator as well? What do you think would be those things that they also need to think about, whether you are the right fit with them? Thinking about geographical reach, I believe there are some that have different strengths over others depending on the market that they have really segmented themselves.
Yeah, so what Danson has said is very critical, and I think every single person, big or small, will need to look at those things. Who are you working with? Is your money safe? Because again, payments is just a case of money. Is your money safe? The integrity and all that, and the sort of systems that they have. Again, maybe just to reiterate that there's also aggregators or payment service providers that have custom-made products for the small office, home office, or SMEs, and it's pretty much a plug and play, which then means that you don't have to put in so much money to be able to digitally collect payments. The other thing that I would also look at is, depending, not so much geographical, because I guess geographical is just to ask how many countries are you present and what are the payment, what countries are you present? I think that the bigger conversation is, according to the countries you're present, what are the payment methods that you're providing for in these specific countries? And then you also need to look at the due diligence of, okay, so for Tanzania, for example, if you say you're only providing Voda, just know that you're getting to 30% of the market, right? So that would not be the right partner to go with. So you need to also find a partner that has covered the markets that you're going to completely. You also need to, and I know this is something that is very specific to SMEs, is they want their money quickly, right? So yeah, it's not a case of saying I'm going to do the payments every month. So you also need to look for a partner that has a dynamic settlement system, that maybe they're able to settle you every week, for example, or every end of the day. So the dynamic aspects of settlement is also very, very critical. The other thing is, what are the other tools that a payment service provider is giving you that is able to help you analyze a lot of the payments that would be coming through? So do you have dashboards? Are you able to actually say, this is what my performance looks like? Going even further, and I know this is something a lot of the payment service providers, or as Danson is calling them, aggregators, it's pretty much the same thing. There's lending that comes with it. There's many other things that you would actually be looking at futuristic from a digital payments space. So look for a partner that is able to work with you size-wise. And most of it is, it's almost like they will give you virtual shelves, like a Shopify model, where you have, and as Danson has said, I mean, if Jambopay have a product like that, where you actually can have, you rent out virtual shelves and you're able to showcase your product, and payments are actually done. So if you're only just looking to, you want to do it digitally, but you don't have a platform to do it, you need to speak to a partner that is able to help you as far as that's concerned. You have a platform already, you don't have payments, you need to look for a payment service provider or an aggregator that will then sort you out on that particular issue. If you want to get your money in every single day, every week, every month, you also need to look at that as an important thing. If you're looking to say, if if you're looking to go outside of Kenya, you need to make sure that the payment methods are actually covering the total population in the respective countries that you're going to be looking at.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rita. Maybe another question that I can pose to you is, currency is a big issue when selling to a global audience. How can one incorporate measures to safeguard from its volatility, especially when apart from that, there's also this part where if I convert, for example, I'll see someone say 100,000 Tanzanian shillings, and I'll be like, oh my God, that looks like so much money. But you're in Kenya. How do I, because you see, when people are selling online, sometimes they indicate the price based on their own currency. How can they make sure when they're collecting the right currency when it comes to them? Because I've seen sometimes when people see that the money has to be converted, they hold back because they feel like they are being charged more.
Okay, so the currency thing, an SME, I don't think you should even go down that route. There's partners you can work with, and those are the aggregators and the payments service providers, where we take the risk. We take the risk from a point of, one, we can actually present the currency that the end customer will get to see. We will show you what the exchange rate looks like as the owner of the business, or as the merchant, as we like to call it. So in terms of handling foreign currencies, I think work with a payment service provider that has that functionality. The only reason then you would be seeing, you go to a website, for example, and you're like, oh, this is in Tanzania shillings. Most of the times, and maybe if I was to speak from where I'm seated, and that's the only point I can come from, a point of information, the customers that we provide for outside of Kenya, we usually, it's a drop down, and you pick the country that you want to say buy from, and it changes it completely. And then you get it in that, and it actually shows you, almost like in the Amazon way, it actually shows you you're converting it from US dollars to Kenya shillings, and this is what it's going to be. But the FX game is very simple, where if I say that I want to be paid my 100 shillings, we do the hedging ourselves. Yeah. So and pretty much what that means is that we take the gains and the risks. Yeah. As a company, we take the gains and the risks. So if it's 100 shillings, we will give you 100 shillings. If you decide to go down that road, it's just a completely different kettle of fish. You will not be strong in it. You will actually be making more losses than gains. So work with a payment service provider or aggregator that's able to do the Forex exchange for you. And then they will advise you on it.
Okay. Danson, there is an increase in the number of businesses that have gone online with their own e-commerce platforms, and most of them are trying to sell directly to customers. How would that path look like if someone was to onboard digital payments? So do they start from, you have a platform, and then are there certain aggregators that work differently with certain web platforms, or is it doesn't matter which platform you decide to plug and play from? And from that aggregator, if they decide to use Jambopay, for example, how does the money get to their M-Pesa? Does it go to an aggregator? Like, what's the path like? How would you draw that path?
Thank you for that good question, Mercy. I start by saying, first, any business decides whether they would like to have their standalone platform or would like to sit on a platform that aggregates. Out of my experience, both models can work well, can be successful, and but certain degree of efforts ought to go to the players. And by this I mean, if you set up your website, an aggregator or a payment service provider like Jambopay can give you some plugins or the payment leg so that you are able to process and payments. So you will basically do marketing for your website, xyz.com or .co.ke. At the point of the shopping cart, when someone has done shopping for 3,700, they are given options where they can decide Visa, MasterCard, or wallets, and so forth. And at that point, we, as a payment service provider, will do the payment processing, and we return a success or a failure. We are able to debit money from whichever bank through Visa or MasterCard or M-Pesas and so forth. And we give you a confirmation that indeed this we have debited, and we credit your virtual account and for further onward remittance to your bank account or your M-Pesa and so forth. Now that's a situation where you have your website. In this case then, it is the duty of the website owner to drive traffic and their customers to that website. I must tell you that we have a lot of clients who are doing very well in that model, but we also got a lot of them that have not been very successful because driving traffic to your website sometimes is as good as getting people to come to your shop. And your shop could be anywhere. Sometimes online looks like everywhere or accessible anywhere, but is just as good as having a shop at Biashara Street. Of course, anyone can come to Biashara Street and do shopping. Now, the model where we got aggregated platform like we have now on the Jambopay market. Here we give you the shop. We give you like a special vendor. You, as a vendor, you have your shop that you can come and upload your products, you put your pricing, and we give you checkout option, and we'll add many others. So you find there could be someone who is selling there some breakfast cereals, someone else there is selling fresh produce, another one is selling certain clothes for kids, and so you have a lot of them. And sometimes you find there is even competitors. So someone could be, there could be 5, 10, like we have probably close to hundreds of farmers who are on that platform now. Some of them selling exactly, they are selling milk, others are selling potatoes and so forth. But what we learned out of, in my own experiences, that provides you with a better model because you get to, as a payment service provider, we are able to work out our experience, our investment to driving traffic to that portal. And then you also need to understand the buyer at home. The play online is where I'm shopping and I want these products delivered at home. And so it does help to think through the eyes or have a look at this in the lenses of a customer seated at home. A customer seated at home, well, Mercy, you could be selling clothes, and Rita out there is selling bananas, and Danson has a shop that is, okay, let's use Betty out there. Betty is dealing in fresh produce also, and someone else like Kimadi on electronics. And if we all had different shops, Kimadi out there, Danson or let's say Victoria out there is someone seated at home and is looking to buy, for example, some clothes or some, and would like to buy some electronics like a phone and some fresh produce. Ideally, if they were to shop from all these sites seated separately and delivery happens, they are likely to get 7 motorcyclists. There could be 7 border guys delivering products to you. And so we have deployed the Jambopay market so that you can enable yourself, the other person, even all those others who may be competing, because the customer out there can shop from all of them. We are able to give them one face, just like you'd walk into a supermarket and shop from all these suppliers. Kwani Oil, you have Chandaria Industries there, you have Weetabix there, you have Auntie Mary there, you have so and so is selling some guashis, and all of it is aggregated so that when you shop, we take the headache of taking care of the logistics to make sure that you are getting one basket that has all these things. Shosho selling guashi out there would also be contending if she were to sell on her own site, her own platform that is not this platform that is aggregated. The issue of logistics. And as an aggregator or a payment service provider providing the front end or a multi-vendor e-commerce platform, we take care of the logistics. Now there is also the risk of the insecurities on cyber securities. We take care of all that. So we do the promotion, we take care of the logistics, we do the marketing and all these things. And so while both models work, we've come to realize over our last, 12 years now in digital payments, that we see better traction where there is aggregation. Now, someone would ask, why should I sit on the same platform with my competitors? The same model, you go to a supermarket, you find Nike has a shop in a mall X, and Adidas is still the next door, and the next one is Fila, and so forth, and they are selling all shoes, and they are serving different customer segments. Again, even not in malls, you walk down Gong Road, you find there are a lot of furniture shops there, or guys who are making beds and so forth next to each other, and that tends to attract buyers. When I think of getting a certain furniture, probably I will think of a certain part of Nairobi or certain road or certain section that I would go, and that's where I find variety. And so there is that economic or psychology of business where people tend to go to where they know. For example, we know there are certain reputations for Biashara Street. You go to Kijabe Street, it is known for certain products. You are going to Biashara Street, you are looking for tiles, ceramics, and stuff like that, and you will not do the same. You will not go to Biashara Street for ceramics. Well, Biashara Street has so many of these. So for that, those are factors for small businesses. You can have your site, but it helps to also have your product sitting on a platform that gives those benefits. Thank you, Mercy. Mercy?
Hello, Mercy, are you there?
Hi, Rita.
Hi, Rita.
Mercy is experiencing some technical issues, but you're sorting it out right now.
Okay.
So Danson, you can continue describing what you were telling everyone, and Rita, you can also chip in.
Well, maybe Rita.
I can see here there's a question from, this is complicated, Kiesubire Talitswala, yes? They're asking, is there a centralized list of approved fintechs?
Well, I must say that that's a challenge that we are facing. I know the regulator is working towards addressing that. Pretty soon you will have a central bureau. A central point you can have a look at. However, it's if you're in Uganda, we have NITA. You can check. NITA is the equivalent of Communication Authority of Kenya here. If you're in Ghana, there is all countries have a communication authority, and there is a regulator that is the central bank. For example, here in Kenya, Uganda, we got BOU, Bank of Uganda. We have a central bank, Bank Kuu, there at Tanzania, and so forth. So it does help. It would help to have all this centralized. But as a seller or a business person, small or big, there are certain things when you do the initial engagement, because this is a contractual engagement, you should request from your payment service provider. And this should include a license or a letter that indicates that they are approved by the regulator to provide these services. And in your context, if you are in Ethiopia, or if you're in Uganda, they are different, but all of them point to a government entity. Maybe Rita.
Yeah, Danson, you're right. Even for us who are, in Kenya, in many other countries, there's also a way to enter these markets. And the honors are on you when you're doing your due diligence. The same way, I'm sure Jambopay do due diligence to find out, okay, so there's prohibited companies that we don't work with, because that is also going to jeopardize our licenses and all that. So the same way we do due diligence, you also need to do a due diligence conversation and actually ask for documentation across across the different countries, or if it's specifically to Kenya, look at that. And Danson, I mean, I hope and you sit at the forefront in such conversations to be able to actually push to have a governing body that then protects the companies that are doing the right thing from the companies, and actually does a very clear demarcation, the companies that are doing the right thing and the ones that are pretty much probably trying to extort companies across the country. So yeah, we don't have that currently, but I'm glad to hear that it's something that is in the pipeline.
Yes, I think you're right, Rita.
Yeah.
Regulator, I know the regulator here being the Central Bank of Kenya is making steps towards that.
Yes.
And I also know there is initiatives. We already have the Payment Service Providers Association of Kenya that is being operationalized. And I know, well, membership is open, but there are moves towards making sure that we have proper structures towards that. But allow me to clarify on one thing. If you're in Kenya and you're selling your products, what really should concern you, what I think should be, as a business person, small trader, large trader, medium size, and so forth, should be on this provider, this payment service provider should have, at a bare minimum, ability to process M-Pesa payments. It should have ability to process Airtel money, likes of Equitel, should have ability to process Visa, MasterCard, and those others. And that, because you basically could, if you just left it at, you start looking at, if you are a business person, if you're in Uganda, you'd be looking at MTN, Airtel Money, and so forth. If you're in Uganda, I mean Tanzania, you have those countries in Ghana and so forth. They are all different in different markets. So it helps to look at, and payments are localized. Any payment service provider working in any part of the world, there is a country that should be domiciled, especially those that are helping you process payments inwards. So if you, for example, decided, your shop and you've come across one payment, very, very strong payment service provider based in Russia, for example, no matter how strong they are, if you're in Kenya, they may not be useful to yourself because they may not have ability to deliver your money to a bank account in Kenya. That's where regulation comes in. And that's why it helps to look at regulation in local contexts.
Okay. Sorry, my Zoom crashed. I think it's hard enough of me having meetings. So the question that I would also want to peg maybe to Rita, the path to someone who wants to utilize digital payments and they don't have a platform, they just sell online. They sell maybe on Facebook or on Instagram. How does that path look like for them to get their money through M-Pesa? Do they need to talk to an aggregator? How does that conversation go? And also, are there advantages of using different banks? Are there advantages of using different banks so that you get your money faster to your M-Pesa? Because we all know once the money hits to your account, most people transfer to M-Pesa. So the path has to have a trajectory of coming all the way to M-Pesa.
M-Pesa. Okay,
Yeah.
so the first one is, how do you maximize the platforms? Most of the small businesses would either be on Facebook or maybe the Facebook itself and Facebook-owned Instagram to be able to push their products. There's a couple of innovative things that you find that Facebook has actually started doing. I mean, there's a Facebook market that has started, which then also just they're doing direct integrations to the M-Pesas of this world. So you're able to have a shop and the payment is fulfilled. There's an initiative that we ran with, and just for example purposes, for you to just understand that it's actually something that could be very successful. We ran a program, or rather a project with Huda Cosmetics of Facebook Messenger, and we're trying to look at two things. One, when you're selling a product that you need to interact with before you buy, say a lipstick, you need to either wear it, see how it looks with your complexion and all that before you decide to make the purchase. Now we have cameras where you're able to do different things with your face, and you can even apply lipstick, and you actually get to look like it's actual lipstick that you've applied. So taking advantage of like augmented reality that runs on Facebook, and the product itself almost is a try and buy model. And then where Cellulant is our core business, which is payments, then do a redirection to our web page to be able to fulfill the payment, where you have now M-Pesa, you have mobile money, you have mobile banking, and you have card. So what then I would say is for these platforms that you're looking at, you will find that there are aggregators or payment service providers that have an interface that you'll be able to do a very quick redirect to be able to then get the payment options. There's actually other ways where you'll find the WhatsApp for businesses, where you start having a conversation and you're redirected to that. When you're a small business, again, I say, try not, tie a lot of your money to maybe infrastructure where you can take advantage of all these platforms that are there already and the things that you can actually do. So take advantage of all this that is readily plug and play, readily available for you. Take advantage of platforms that have already set up, and maybe once I'm done answering the question, Danson can actually give us more insight on the Jambopay platform for the SMEs in terms of how does that actually interlace with the Facebooks and the Instagrams of this world. But yes, that's the best place to be. I think I buy 80-90% of everything these days on Instagram. It's very interesting. And then I find that the payment experience is different from one vendor to another. But most of the time they say that send me the money on my mobile number. And the other one would be when the rider comes, give them the money or whatever. The other thing that I know this is a conversation that is very specific to payments. Payments and logistics is beginning to really talk to each other. And maybe this is actually something Mercy and Rita, you probably need to look at and just see how to have that conversation, because you cannot be talking about payments, how to pay, and we're not also talking about the logistics aspect of it that is completely, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And maybe this is actually something from a payments company point of view. Well, how do we make sure that we give that comfort to the vendors, the SOHOs and the SMEs?
I agree with you. Well, we've made a payment for something, and the rider, we asked the rider, you don't want to verify? They're like, yeah, no, you don't need to, because the app they were using already verified and communicated to them that we had already paid. I was like, that's real-time synchronization is super, because there's so many times where a rider leaves and then the next thing you're being called, did you pay? Did you give it to the rider? Who did you give? We've not received M-Pesa and whatnot. And yet you had said you're gonna pay at the point of delivery. So that's very, very key. Tying logistics to payments is very, very, I think it's a process someone needs to really think about. How do you want someone to pay, especially if it's a product, and at what point? And also returns. I don't know if I've seen a lot of customers complaining about returns where you make payment, but then it's so hard to make reversals. So I don't know if through the same platforms, it's possible to also send money. If, for example, I bought something from Burial and it didn't get to me, it got lost along the way, and I want them to reverse back my money. Do these platforms also have the same thing where the SME can be able to reverse a particular transaction to where it came from?
Yes, you do have some aggregators and some PSPs that are able to do and setups that you're actually able to do automatic reversals if an order has not been fulfilled. Though then we start talking semantics of what's a reversal and what's a refund, because at the point where, I mean, either you've gotten the product and like, I don't like the product, that's a refund process, that's a completely different process. again, depending with how you pay, that did you pay by M-Pesa, did you pay by card, did you pay by mobile banking, then the reversal process then becomes that much harder or more complicated. Let me not say hard, but more complicated. But most of the times, if the customer is usually the first point of contact. If it's a card payment, there's ways that we have to work with our bank and card partners to be able to verify a lot of things before we do the reversal. So it actually it's not as simple. This is what happens, but there's automatic reversals that happen, especially when it's mobile money. And then again, depending with exactly what commodity you are pushing for, there could be a haggle of back and forth. But that functionality is available.
Okay. Then the other question is about the banks. If you decide to use an aggregator, are there certain advantages to using different banks over others?
So what we do as aggregator companies or payment service companies is that we try to have integrations with all banks that are available. Banks have also been very proactive in that sense, where, as I was saying, in Nigeria, they have a central switch where all the banks are you actually, just by that one integration, you have all the banks available in Nigeria. Same thing in Ghana, they also have started a switch model. Same thing in Kenya, where we had the PesaLink. We've had issues with PesaLink, but it's a fantastic initiative, and I think it's just one of those things that we must lobby behind to make sure that it works and works seamlessly. That being said, obviously there's the key banks that someone needs to, ask, okay, like if you don't have KCB, you're not in business, yeah. Equity, for example, you're not in business. But then the answer to that is, if we have PesaLink, then you should be able to collect mobile banking. So many things are happening at the same time, and I don't know that mobile banking should be the thing that tells you, you know what, I'm not going to partner with this particular customer, not unless you're talking about very high value and very high value that then mobile money will not cover. Because when you're talking about 70,000, say for Kenya, and you can do 2 transactions of 70,000, this is pre-COVID. Post-COVID, it's open, it's quite high. But when when things come back to normal, you have 70,000 that you can do twice. And as my fellow panelist, Danson said, in Kenya, you have to have M-Pesa. If you don't have M-Pesa, you're really just not playing. But banks, it's not a deal breaker right now. But we do have switches that a lot of the aggregators are integrated to. When I talk about the organization that I work with, we are integrated to these banks individually, and then we are integrated also to the main switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danson, over to you about legal risks. Are there any legal risks that one should think about before integration or receiving money from customers outside the country?
Yes, there is need to be concerned because we have laws that are localized. Here we have proceeds of fraud or illicit money, crime. We have a lot of laws now that govern money flow, and that means it should concern you as a seller on how you receive money and from whom. It should not just be, I've seen people who've received money, of course, or had stories, real ones, and they happen to have been proceeds of crime. And that's why it helps to work with, to care first, that you work with a reputable payment service provider so that those risks are mitigated against. When you work with a payment service provider that is regulated, and that is, has experience, then you also realize that even those payment service providers are very keen on doing or undertaking due diligence on the people they receive money for. By the way, if you sell online, a lot of customers will gauge you or will perceive your reputation as a seller based on even who is connected or integrated to yourself. Because if you, for example, have your mobile number as the number that is receiving the money, of course, a lot of people are concerned because that points to certain governance weaknesses at the point of the business that is receiving the money. But having said that, I think the most important thing is someone or the payment service provider that you work with or partner with should have all the requisite approvals from the local authorities. Secondly, there is international certifications. One very important one is called PCI DSS compliance. That is Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards compliance. This is a consortium of players in the digital payments world, and they have set certain standards in terms of security for payment service providers. And so that compliance is necessary for anyone who is the payment service provider. There are certain other things that do not necessarily in the legal domain, like you should have an SSL for your site if you are collecting certain user details. SSLs is like that padlock you see at the bar up there as you're getting into our website. By the way, for all of us and for anyone out there, you ought to know that you should be very, very careful when you key in your details on a site that does not have SSL. That data could be phished, and it could be someone out there capturing your data, or not even the owner of the site. If you have a site that does not have an SSL, that's the basic pointer to a weak security infrastructure or setup for anybody doing any meaningful business online. And there are certain SSLs. SSLs also have various categories. There are those that, for example, we are on SSLs that will give you guarantees of up to close to $1 million US should your data get mishandled in the process of transmission between that site and the point it is being processed. And so in summary, they always check that there is SSL and the provider is giving you a checkout option that has SSL. The provider should have a PCI DSS compliance, that is Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. There are various categories, but at a bare minimum, there should be a compliance at the application level. And then they should also indicate and prove to you that they have been approved by the local entities, the local authority, like the Communication Authority of Kenya, NITA in Uganda, Bank of Uganda. In Tanzania, we have the central bank there. All countries have that, and the Central Bank of Kenya here. And I think finally, it also does work with the brands that you have seen at play that work. And just to, I think any payment service provider that is worth its name should have ability to deliver money to any bank account in Kenya. Jambopay does that. You are banking with Habib, or you are banking with INM Bank, or you are banking with Equity Bank, or you just want to receive your money on an M-Pesa, or you want to receive your money in, as long as it's a regulated bank in Kenya, or a regulated payment institution, or we should deliver to that bank account or mobile wallet or otherwise.
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe to also add, if you are an online business and you'd like to get a till number is always safer, because you are the one to auto reverse. Sometimes I've seen a lot of complaints online when someone sends you money, then they auto reverse. So if you'd like to get a till number, I can put you in touch with the Safaricom team. I can see some of them are here. And also the SSL is very, very critical. I remember there's even a session I tried to log into yesterday. I was trying to register and I refused. I told them I will not register because the site did not have SSL. And clearly certain browsers tell you not secure, or certain browsers just refuse to open that particular page for no good reason. So, and you can get SSL even from Kenyan resellers. If you want to be put in touch with some of them, I can refer you to a couple of them. Then the other question, the second last question that I wanted to ask was, from your experience as we wind up, what are the challenges that you have seen SMEs experience once they have been onboarded, especially maybe to the digital markets that you guys provide Danson, or it could be also to onboarded together with as an aggregator. So they have a website, they have integrated their website to you as an aggregator? What are some of the challenges that you have seen some of these customers navigate through after being onboarded?
Well, I must say the first challenge I have seen is lack of a digital strategy. That's common. It does not help to just have a website that has good images and has a payment, robust payment plugged in. We have a lot of, I've seen a lot of brands that have very good website, very beautiful, but are not doing as much as, and sometimes outpaced by very unknown brands or very small brands or brands that are not strong physically because they have a clear digital marketing strategy. So that's a big, big challenge that I see. And so it does help to work with a payment service provider that provides you with that ability to give you that ability, the strategy or guide you through navigation on how to sell, how to do marketing, and so forth. The second one is logistics. A lot of them will have a transaction and they are really like, wow, there is this someone who has done a transaction. They have actually, we have actually received the money. Now what next? I don't know, like really now you have another challenge of how do I deliver this money, or this, I mean not money, do I deliver this product to this customer who has purchased online? And so it also does help when you have figured out the logistics aspect of it, or work with a payment service provider that has figured out that, or has built in logistics partnerships or logistics capabilities. Jambopay does have that in the Jambopay market has sorts that where we give you the payments, we give you the digital strategy, we give you the logistics. And then finally, what we've also seen is a lot of businesses, or not a lot, a couple of them that are engaged in businesses that do not know were legal. So you go online and you do not know that to sell these products, you need to have certain approvals from certain other government entities. So we have first, for example, if you are selling medicine online, at a mitishamba, sometimes I know someone who is doing mitishamba, and for some reason you are online, and then regulator is also a customer that you have blasted a message to, or you have done a marketing targeted at out there, and one of them is someone works in the, let's say, poisons board, and so that in itself is a challenge that a lot of businesses face. So it does help where you have consultancies, or not even consultancy, just the knowledge. You need to first understand that whatever you sell, whether you are selling online, certain obligations that exist in physical world are important, as important online as in physical world. For example, taxman must be paid whether you are selling online or you are selling at a shop on Udhori Avenue. You must have certain licenses that are specific to specific sectors and so forth. So those are some of the challenges that we faced. But I think for me, the biggest is digital strategy. A site, a website, a web shop online, just like that, without proper digital strategy, is just another website. It's just actually another website. People will come, they will read, they will download the photos, and they will be happy about it, and then they will go and shop somewhere else. So the conversion aspect is quite a science and an art that needs to be inculcated in the process of transitioning from the digital selling to online. And Jambopay does all this. We have quite some good experience in that area.
Okay. Thank you. Also, Rita, digital fraud is on the rise. Actually, I saw today they were saying that I think Kenya, is #1 in Africa right now in the number of cybersecurity risks that are coming in. And Danson talked about phishing, that where someone sends a link and the next thing is your personal details have been taken out. Like now I'm seeing a common trend where they send you a PayPal invoice and then you click on it. And sometimes when you click on it, you give access because people share the same email, the same password with their social media accounts. I've been seeing they've been trying to target a lot of the high value clients So they post on Twitter, they say that they are selling something and you can pay in, or they're trying to raise money for a particular foundation and you can pay in Bitcoins. And by the time the account is recovered, money has already been transferred and converted into Bitcoin. So for SMEs, what are those things that they can think about protecting themselves when it comes to digital fraud, since it's really on the rise?
Okay, so the best, because I know the instance that you're talking about, and even the big boys were really swindled with the fraud case that was even happening with the PayPal thing. But to look at it from an SME point of view, it is important to check for the certifications. What the banks have done, and they've done really well with the card schemes. And when I say card schemes, I'm talking about MasterCard, Visa, is they have a layer of security, and that's why an organization being PCI DSS certified means that an audit has been done, and they know that you can actually store the data and all these things. So you need to make sure that you are interrogating the partners that you're working with that much more. Make sure that the websites that the payments are done have you're not 100% safe, because I mean, people who are trying to defraud get smarter every single day. But the only thing that you can actually do is just look at what are the measures the different payment service providers have actually put in place to be able to protect you per se. The other thing that I think needs to be a norm, and not just to the SME sector, but everyone across, is education. Education of how it happens. And I mean, even if it's a little section where you're actually talking about, make sure that this and this and this and this is actually present before you make a payment. That goes a long way in ensuring that either you're not defrauded or your customers are also not defrauded in your name. So education is one. Number two, just making sure that the companies that you're working with and the people who are helping you collect money have the right fraud tools and certification that is required to make sure that they're that much more safer. It's not 100%, but what I can guarantee is for the companies where they take security very seriously, we are always just trying to make sure that we are ahead of it every single time. If there's a compliance issue that we need to make sure that we adhere to, we adhere to it. So be curious. The fraud thing is, curiosity is extremely curious. Ask questions, give different scenarios. Just get that comfort that the partners that you're working with are actually providing for what your concerns would be.
Okay. Danson, do you want to add anything about digital fraud?
So I think for sure, there's need for everyone to be concerned about digital fraud. And as Rita explained, it does help to just have keen eye on the nitty-gritties of, you need to make sure there is SSL, there is a certification for your payment service provider, and most importantly, it starts, by the way, at at a personal level. Anything that you suspect, those links, people will send you documents that you never realize. Then you download, you click, and it installs something in your computer. So sometimes there is a lot of awareness that ought to go into that space. But where you have business happening online, the extent of care that a seller or a business person should exercise or should have is, you need to make sure you have a payment service provider that has approvals and that is keen on all these things. No one is safe from cyber security, cyber fraud. I see, by the way, Jambopay has a lot of, we receive a lot of attempts. On average, every month there is between 15 and 20 attempts. Someone may be attempting to hack or something like that, or attacks. We call them attempted attacks. Of course, what we've done is we've invested over years on deterrent technologies, detection technologies, mitigation and policies. This takes time, but not just time, but interest. We got a network and application security department for that one reason. And this usually extend to not just, beyond our infrastructure to our payment, our partners, that's our clients' sphere of business. There is I think that the government also has made certain steps towards addressing or mitigating the environment itself. We have the Cyber Crimes Act, the ICT. There are several sets of laws that have come into place that try to address that, because a lot of times, even sometimes you detect and you can pinpoint the persons behind these attempts, but without a law, you are not able to follow up with the prosecution of such persons. Now we have laws that we have as Jambopay tested, and we know they are applicable. Of course, there is need for improvements and enhancement as we go by. But now the situation, these times we are in, especially COVID-19 times, are such that supply chains have been disrupted. And the only way out for a business person, not just even business person, someone out there to survive, you go to trade. And to trade now, you go to trade on digital platforms. And we do not have, unfortunately, the luxury of time and luxury of a lot of this knowledge and information. And that's specifically the reason why our organization, we decided to put together a free-to-use platform for any trader out there that comes in with plugged-in payments, comes in with plugged-in logistics, that's delivery, and we also support in marketing, both the digital strategy and actual advertisements for our customers. It is that time to migrate to digital payments. Fraud notwithstanding, which must be addressed, which we must continue to address.
Okay. I'm seeing questions here about what Jambopay offers and what Cellulant offers to SMEs. It also ties into what Kimathi was asking here about he wants to integrate using, he wants to integrate also his paid webinars. Zoom allows paid webinars via PayPal, and he's looking for a company that can be able to integrate M-Pesa to Zoom or to allow him to do paid Zoom meetings. I don't know if there is any company that has been able to integrate, because for us, what we do is that we give a pay bill number, and then when you are registering, you actually indicate your M-Pesa code. So we have to technically manually verify. So I don't know if there's an option where someone has integrated that. That's what Kimathi is also asking. At the same time, he's also asking, he's looking for a pay processor that can provide payment options around Africa. Recommend to me a company that can help me tap into mobile money payments in Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Nigeria, Ghana, and globally. Meaning, what does Jambopay do? What does Cellulant do?
All right, so maybe I can start and try and answer as many questions as I can from Kimathi. One, and I'll start with the last one. I mean, you could vet us as Cellulant because we are present in 34 markets by way of partnerships, present in 16 markets by way of office presence. And our pitch is very simple, a single integration for you to be able to access payment methods across 34 markets in Africa. And those countries that you're talking about are some of the countries that we do serve for. We are not the only company that does this. There's many other companies, but feel free to reach out. And Mercy, maybe you could actually just give my contacts. Feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation and see if we are providing to the cup of tea that you'd want us to provide. But I would also be able to just give you direction on the other payment service providers that would be in the same space. The second question would be on Zoom. What I know for sure is Zoom is shopping. Zoom is shopping for aggregators across Africa to be able to collect local payment methods across. So I'm not too sure where they've there was an initial conversation that we had as an organization with them. I'm not too sure where they're at as far as that's concerned, but what I can say is that they also have intentionality from a platform point to be able to collect rather to be able to speak to the different countries and their local payment methods. Are we able to provide a paid Zoom or support a paid Zoom as a plugin? At Cellulant, currently we are not able to do that. I don't know if Jambopay are, and I'm sure Danson will answer anything that I may have left out. What was the other question? Let me see.
What does Cellulant do?
So Cellulant is it's a payments company, and we pride ourselves in taking away all the headache that a business would be having in terms of collecting of payments. Historically, the story did not start at payments. The story actually started when we were actually doing ringback tones some 16 odd years ago. But where we are today, we are able to provide payments across the 34 markets that we're saying. The 34 markets is because we are in partnership with one of the most networked banks across Africa, which is EcoBank. So that means that we're able to collect mobile money, mobile banking, card, and branch payments across these markets. So that's pretty much what our bread and butter is. That is in all countries apart from Nigeria, where Nigeria we have something very exciting that we run, which is the agriculture marketplace. And the agriculture marketplace, we actually have unique about 20 million unique customers running on our ecosystem, where we are able to provide for farmers to be able to sell within an ecosystem. So for example, if Dangote say that they want, say, 10 tons of rice, and the small farmer probably is able to just do a produce of 10 kilograms, and I know that's a very small number, but what we do then from just collating all that, so there's someone who has 10 kgs, another one who has 20, so we collect all that, make sure that the subsistent farmer is able to make something out of it, and then we provide and serve the Dangotes of this world on the big orders. So different markets, we're answering to different markets with different things. Ghana is very heavy on just the payments. On the payments bit, we're also looking to get into the agriculture space. Kenya is also, we provide a lot even as far as software and supporting banks. There's a vertical where there's a B2B vertical that then provides for banks in terms of the mobile banking platform. And that is actually where our relationship started with companies or other banks such as EcoBank. So yeah, so to put it plainly, we are a payments business. Our distinctive capability is the fact that we have an ecosystem that stretches across 120 banks and 34 mobile wallets, major mobile wallets across Africa.
Thank you, Rita. Over to you, Danson.
Well, Jambopay is 11 years old. From day one to date, we have not done any other business but digital payments. So we focused right from the onset in payments. We provide businesses and governments and private citizens with the solutions to enable them to securely accept payments from anywhere in the world into the market that we operate. Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. We are also doing this in Ghana. We have quite some experience in this. We serve over 5,000 organizations, that's businesses and governments. Some of these are large entities, countries. We have deployments that span across countries, cities. You are aware we've for 5 years digitized. We are the first company to digitize payments for any city in Africa, anywhere in the world. I mean, anywhere in Africa, that was Nairobi. We also have farmers who are farmers who just got a small half an acre and they need to get their products to the market. That is what is very exciting about Jambopay, in that it's African. We are basically trying to address the challenges of anyone out there trying to eke out a living out of trade and business. We are integrated to 25 banks here in Kenya, all mobile networks, Visa, MasterCard, China Union Pay, and others like Akinabav, and so forth. We also got our own unique wallet that has 1.2 million subscribers. This means that we are able to market directly to over 1.2 million subscribers who are our own clients. Any product that comes from any of our network partners. Network partners means a trader, an SME, a farmer, and everyone else out there. But what is exciting about Jambopay and this year, as hard as it has been for a lot of every business out there and individuals, is that we've narrowed down, put together all our technologies and our expertise, experiences over 10 years, and brought the Jambopay market. Jambopay market essentially enables millions of users out there to just access products from anybody out there that has something to sell that is genuine and legitimate. We've built a good KYC infrastructure. KYC means know your customer. For example, we are integrated to the national IPRS, that's the government's database registry. By way of just your national ID, we can tell this is genuine or not genuine. We have collected over years. We've processed licenses. We have collaborated with the government entities. So we are able to identify, and if you join as an SME, you realize that Jambopay will actually ascertain that if you say you are selling organic bananas, we must and make sure that this is organic. So when we place a product as organic on our platform, that is the Jambopay market, that product is organic. We are among the very, very first companies in this part of the world to do real-time payment processing. So we do not have a situation where you have to wait for tomorrow. Most of the time, most of our transactions, in fact, 95% of our transactions are real-time. You're paying for a utility that is processed real-time. You are receiving payment from anywhere in the world, we process that near real-time. We are licensed and regulated by the Communication Authority of Kenya and the Central Bank. So we are a very innovative digital payments service provider based in Kenya.
Thank you so much, Danson. Maybe one question to each based on the audience. Rita, this is for you. There is a major chain supermarket that doesn't accept bank to M-Pesa payments, preferring phone to the till. What could be the back-end challenge?
I mean, it probably could be the infrastructure. The other thing could also just be in terms of incurring costs, because you see processing payments comes with cost. So some of these companies will probably not want to do the card processing fee or whatever other cost that they would need to be paying. Or it could be a case of just they have archaic systems.
Okay. We have put their contacts in the chat system. Danson, the last question to you is, if you create a payment portal where you collect payments on behalf of another consumer, for example, collecting KPLC payments, who pays the product tax? And is there a transaction tax?
Thank you for that. Very, very good question and very timely given what is happening in terms of space. Mm-hmm. What happens as a payment service provider, we essentially facilitate that you can receive money for whatever business you are in. If you're in the business of selling power, for example, like Kenya Power, distributing energy, electricity, we essentially help them, and we do collect revenue for them as a payment service provider. We are essentially collecting money for them, and so all the taxes that are applicable to them and apply. The taxes that are applicable to you must see when you decide to sell some items online, they apply to you. However, as a digital payment service provider, we also got a certain aspect of taxes that are applicable to that transaction fee, but it is to the extent of our income, okay, or our earnings. We got all those other taxes that are applicable. There is a whole discussion around digital tax. It should not be, I looked at it because of, we were keen because of the hype around it. It is all because, you know, tax is tax and tax should be paid. It should not be a reason any day that anyone should stop from getting into digital payments because someone is talking about taxation. If you just stay at home and do not sell of course, you don't pay the tax that is, but if you go and sell and you get some value out of it, there is aspects of taxation that is applicable. And that, I tried to trace it back where this came from, this whole conversation. It goes way, way, way back into the Bible. Mercy.
Thank you, Danson. Thank you so much to everyone. We have extended the session by 16 minutes. Thank you to the panelists. It was really, really informative. I hope it was also informative to you as an audience. The next session is going to be on 23rd. It's going to be about sales, which will be the last part of our session. Danson said, selling online without a strategy is really just having a website or just having a platform. So he's also put in the market URL for those who are interested on being onboarded. Thank you so much. If you'd like, you can send a review. You can send a review on our platforms on Facebook, on Google, for both Gaga or BotLab. And thank you so much to everyone who attended. Thank you. Good night. Have a lovely time.
Thank you, everyone.